Welcome back to Online Darts. Everyone, take two, mate. It's been a bit of a memory card issue.
Bit of a tech issue.
But we'll go again. It's been a while since the World Championships. Peter Wright, now a double World Champion, and his stock has risen to the point where people are arguing where he sits in the all-time great list.
Well, yeah, I mean, a World Matchplay winner as well, and did that in incredibly dominant fashion, didn't he? And looked unplayable. That was one of the most dominant performances that we've seen from a very, very informed Taylor and a very informed Michael van Gerwen. And yeah, joins an elite group, and fair play to him. He played wonderfly in that final, winning 9 of the final 10 legs of the match, raising his average to in excess of 108, similar to how he produced that 8-leg run against Michael Smith again in the Grand Slam. And yeah, deserved winner. Absolutely gutted for Michael, but I think his mannerisms, his attitude towards the sport has improved tenfold throughout the year, and I'll stick with what I've said all along. It's not if, but when.
No, absolutely. Is there an asterisk next to it? Because everyone will say he didn't beat Michael, or there was people pulling out because of COVID, buys X, Y, and Z. I don't think there is, but a lot of people are questioning whether he'd have won it still.
No, I mean, there's no asterisks against the Premier League when Gezi had to pull out. You know, it's just one of those things. Could he have won the Premier League more so than Michael in the Worlds? Probably. I don't think Michael went into that Worlds, it's over a year without a major TV ranking title, well over a year now. And I'm not sure his form was quite of that to maybe go on and win it. You can never say never. You never know in this sport, and you never know with Michael. He can all of a sudden flick a switch and maybe would have gone on a run. But have we seen anything from Michael in the last 12 months that would suggest he would have beaten that version of Peter Wright in the final? I'm not so sure. But no, I think it would be unfair to take anything away from Peter Wright. That was a world champion's performance, and fair play to him. And he does join that elite list of multiple major winners now, and multiple world championship winners. With your Adrian Lewis's and your Gary Andersons. Where'd you put him against Gary Anderson now?
For me, Gary's still above him. I think winning it back to back, and the fact that Gary has the Premier League and the match play in there, I still have Gary above him.
Was Gary's match play as good as Peter Wright's? It was good. I mean, in terms of entertainment value, yeah, it was unbelievable, because he had the 9 and those epic matches with Cullen and Jeffrey Deswan.
In the final. But I think that the back-to-back and the third final in a row, Michael. I still have Gary
just margining.
Just above.
There's not too much in it, I just look at the numbers that Peter Wright, when he is absolutely right, is right up there with, he's not quite up there with Taylor's stats, but he's right up there, and all credit to him. He's the hardest working player in the game.
There was a massive relief. We were all there for the Worlds just to get through, because at one point it looked like Boris was going to do something silly, but Partygate actually saved us. So Boris going on the lash did us a favour, meaning he didn't dare lock us down, but we were worried that from the 27th onwards it was going to be behind us.
Yeah, we were worried pre-Christmas. We have someone that works at Ali Pali and one of the higher ends of security that also works at the Houses of Parliament, and he reassured us that no, you'll be all right. Wait until you hear what's about to come out. He knew, and we were like, well, what is it? He said, I can't tell you. He said, but
you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Nothing will be getting closed down. And he was on the money. He wasn't at the parties either, by the way.
Along that same sort of time, this isn't a gripe at the WDF, because we all know it was Bob Potter pulled Lakeside, and because of COVID reasons, when, let's be brutally honest, we all know that he was going to do his absolute nuts on ticket sales. He was going to lose a fortune, and he gambled wrong for him, unfortunately, citing COVID. If he had just said, look, we're putting it back to try and sell more tickets, I think everyone would have been more on board with it.
He won't sell more tickets. But it's too expensive.
We'll come on to the price in a minute. The actual new date, I actually like, and 100% I think is better. But we all know they'll revert back next year.
Which is commercial suicide. Listen, we know the people involved and we speak to them, and I'd like to say we're friends with them, and we said to them all along, listen, take it away from that date and give yourself a chance. Don't look. I know they're not trying to compete with the PDC because obviously they can't. But if it's on a separate date, it just has a better look and it'll have a better feel.
And everyone compares it. They've just watched 2 weeks of the PDC one.
It's
always going to get compared.
Of course it is.
Because of the overlap.
Of course it is. And not by people that will come out and watch it. It's a totally different demographic of people that go to Lakeside that will go to Ali Pali. It is a totally different demographic. And listen, when you've got an event of the same sport and the tickets are dearer, then that's like trying to put on a small or area title fight and charging
Joshua ringside ticket
prices. It's madness, and it's just commercial suicide. And listen, all credit to Bob Potter for putting up the money, but it's very short-sighted. If he made the ticket prices affordable, made the hotel affordable, no doubt it would do bigger numbers and he could recoup it back through hotel sales, because food sales, if you're brave enough, people won't. Great for weight loss, by the way. That's a free one. It's just commercial suicide. I don't get it, and it's unfortunate that Lakeside has so much history and it fits there, but until the WDF are in a position to say to Bob Potter, right, well, this is the deal, take it or leave it, and you find a new home, but do it properly and don't do the O2, which was again commercial suicide. We said as soon as we found out that won't work. Logistically, ticket price wise, it doesn't fit. The WDF will fit in a nice country club that'll hold maybe 800 people, maybe 600 people, a nice venue that's really personal and affordable. Like I said, it's totally different. It's just, it's predominantly sold at Ali Pali to the city boys and to your travelling fans that are not
Christmas party in town.
They're not necessarily the greatest darts fans in the world, as we know. We can go around the fans' village and nobody knows who I am.
You love it, don't you?
Yeah, it is fabulous. It is, because I can just do what I want. Yeah. I go down to Butlins and I can't go out there because if I go out, we have to.
You miss your queue time.
Yeah, exactly. I miss my airtime. So two different demographics, and it's just something that needs looking at. I want the WDF to succeed. Darts needs the WDF to succeed because the PDC is not for everybody, and that's just the way it is.
PDC dropped a bombshell, the traditional Premier League announcement after the World Final.
No tease.
Nothing.
The big tease.
Yeah, and obviously Matt came on that earlier that day and went, there'll be no announcement whatsoever, which was a surprise. But then halfway through January they teased us with the format change. First of all, your thoughts on the format?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know if I'd like it. I knew the fans would like it because they don't just get to see 5 games. They get to see a winner.
For the fans in the venue, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what it would be like in terms of a TV spectacle, but I have to say I am pleasantly surprised and I've loved it. I normally would watch the first one and then just put the results and all the stats into my laptop for future reference. And if I'm about, or if I'm down the pub having a game of darts with the lads, then and it's on, I'll take it in. But I've absolutely loved every minute of it. And listen, Matt and the PDC and Matchroom and of course Eddie and all the backroom staff that understand how the enterprise works, they know what they're doing, and the social media, the interest, it was phenomenal, and it showed. I think the numbers are fabulous on TV for it. The crowds have been amazing in terms of the numbers, and I've enjoyed it, and it looks like the players are enjoying it. Well, some of them.
The big surprise for me was it went to 8. There was a massive clamouring. People wanted it extended.
I think in this new format it would have been messy.
Yeah.
Because
you just can't do the pyramid to.
no, you can't. You don't get the breakdown from 10 to 1.
Yeah.
That's a shame, because then we wouldn't have had this horrible problem of one of either Joe Cullen or Rob Cross being left out.
Well, that's next on my list. First of all, congratulations to Joe, and look, I think it's fabulous Joe's in the Premier League because one, he's damn good to watch. He's explosive, and he.
As we've seen last week.
Yeah, and so I'm over the moon for Joe. But what kind of a message does it send out? And is it the wrong message that a winner of a ranked TV title has been left out for a non-ranked?
I'm not sure if it's wrong, but it's just a bit confusing. I was a bit confused because when we were sat down at Christmas doing our we were doing a Premier League 10.
Yeah. But Rob was in everyone's.
Yeah, Rob was in everybody's, including mine. When we found out mid-January the format and everything else, and then of course then we had the situation of having Dave Chisnell and Joe Cullen in the final of the Masters, and the fact that Johnny Clayton won the Masters the year before and was put in the Premier League. You know, a lot of us, we didn't know for sure. Nobody from the PDC would tell us. Matt Porter didn't even give us a whisper to say, you know, the winner of this will get in the Premier League. We presumed, but as I said on air, well, who are they going to leave out for Rob Cross? Because the Masters is not a ranking tournament. It's a post-World and pre-season event to just keep the message out there for the season. It's a great promoting tool on terrestrial television for the Premier League, because obviously they, you know, last year especially, it was, you know, we were able to announce, right, for the first time the winner of this will get a Premier League spot when it was Clayton against Merv. But yeah, I feel sorry for Rob Cross. I'm not sure if it was down. I mean, it can't be ignored. You can't win a major in a season and it not count for anything. And I do class the Europeans as a mini major, not a major. But I certainly hold it in higher esteem to the Masters. So it was, it's sad one had to be left out. I think it was more of a commercial decision because Joe Cullen is Premier League material. He's quick, he hits lots of 180s, he's a little bit vulnerable. He's a massive fans' favourite. They love the walk-on. They get behind him. He gets tons of support. No-brainer.
From that point of view, 100%. And I love that he's in.
Yeah. I'm just gutted for Rob.
We were saying, although we didn't know, they'd have looked pretty stupid if Joe won the Masters and they announced that he wasn't in it, because everyone had said, well, what was the point in waiting? So they almost backed themselves into a corner where they had to put the one.
Yeah, and I'm not sure in the nicest possible sense, they probably thought someone was going to win the Masters who was already in. But as we've seen in recent years now, things have changed in darts massively over the last couple of years. You know, we don't have a dominant force. We have a group of elite players that are all capable of beating each other.
Yeah, the Masters itself, a fabulous tournament.
Brilliant. Absolutely
again,
brilliant.
The standard through the roof, and all weekend Joe Cullen was sensational. The way he dismantled Gary Anderson.
Yeah, that was one of those, for him probably just one of those dream-like performances, and it was. Look, I got goosebumps thinking about what he went through with losing his mum, his dad being there. It was the perfect storm, and that performance against Gary Anderson, those runner finishes, that ball 15 ball was just irresistible, and that is why he's in the Premier League.
Yeah, look, that when he went run over to his dad, and it was just
there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I said it and I'll say it again. Sport's the only place fairy tales come true.
Yeah, and that was a fairy tale, and it was just a beautiful thing. Again, like Rob Cross being out, like Michael Smith losing in the World, absolutely devastated for Dave, because one of the nicest guys on the circuit, a wonderfully talented player, and you know, like loads of players before him, you know, it's just not meant to be at the moment for whatever reason. I really hope he gets even if it is a Masters or a Europeans or
something,
just something, just to get that monkey off his back.
The World Seniors, the much talked about World Seniors, a return to the tavern that no one really knew what the standard was going to be like, whatever. But what a weekend of nostalgia, darts, it had everything.
Yeah, I listen, opening night they had their issues, which they got. There's lots I'd change, and there's lots I wouldn't. You know, you don't have to be an industry expert to see what you would change and what you would improve. But ultimately, to see those guys up there and strutting their stuff. Listen, you're not going to get off the sofa, and some of them haven't played competitive darts for sort of 12, 15 years. You know, you're not. It's just not going to happen like that. Which is why I was surprised. They announced the invites before the opening qualifiers. I think it'd have been nice to have seen them at the qualifiers. I think a few were short-sighted in not coming down here and having a week at the Online Darts Live League just to sharpen their tools. Gutted for Alan, and of course Alan's not played hardly any darts, no darts for 2 years. Well, all of a sudden he's trying to cram in a load of practice in. First thing that's going to go, shoulder, or the elbow. Unfortunately for him, it was the shoulder. But yeah, it was fascinating. It was surprising for some good reasons. And right now I'm as good as Phil Taylor, which is just an unbelievable thing to say. You make me eat my words for that. It was interesting in the interview you did with him afterwards that's typical Taylor.
Yeah.
He'll either go and put it right or you won't see him again. Because and that is the risk of doing this. You can't. It's like when fighters go on too long, they can ruin their legacy. Probably not with Taylor, because it was like a legacy in sport like no other. We've seen tennis players go on for a little bit longer, but that didn't ruin their legacy. I've seen lots of talk like that. But listen, Taylor is the GOAT and always will be. But it was sad. It was sad for me. It was, and I don't understand. You know, I don't understand the mentality behind it, because he played an exhibition recently, and there was evidence there that he was nowhere near what he needed to be going into the seniors, especially when you've got players like Dave Prince knocking about, Kevin Painter,
Thornton
Adams. It was dangerous, and listen, it's not like he's chasing a few quid. I'm sure he's got millions in the bank. So that surprised me. But maybe he thought it would just click for him on the night, and it never. And Painter played absolutely brilliant against him and just kept him under it. There was flashes, there was bits every now and again. You thought, oh my God, here we go, and then he just couldn't quite muster it up. But a little bit sad. Even we got on fine, and I've done for years and years and years. We had our fallout. I got nothing but respect for him as a dart player. He lit up our sport, and probably without him would be where we are now. I doubt it very much, but congratulations to Robert Thornton. I think Martin, just the age thing and playing multiple matches on one day, and it just caught up with him a little bit. And that opening set from Robert, averaging 118 odd, I think that's my highest I've ever averaged in a set in a Worlds, and he's doing it at 50 odd. But it just goes to show, played a lot of darts down here, managed to play a lot of darts on the tour, went to Q School, went to Challenge Tour,
and was battle ready,
and was battle hardened and battle ready, and playing some good darts. And that was a bit that really impressed me about Kevin. He must have really put some work in to play that well.
We saw it.
And Terry Jenkins was fabulous as well.
Well, Terry Jenkins went back to play county.
Yeah, and didn't tell anybody, and also was playing local tournaments. Won 6 out of the 10 he entered. So again, he just sharpened his tools, and I think that could be one flaw going forward. I think you need a ranking system. I know there hasn't been enough time to do it. I know the tour series events start in a couple of weeks, and then there's qualifiers for the Masters. I think the nostalgic element is fantastic, but I think you have to be a little bit careful in terms of the quality. We know we're not going to be seeing, the averages we see of full-time pros, because that's why they're not full-time pros anymore. Maybe excluding Robert. And it's an awkward one. I watched the World Senior Snooker, and although I enjoyed it and everything else, the names maybe they hope. Well, the most recent one to progress just didn't have the game there, and neither was anybody else there to watch it. So it's a double-edged sword. You need the names to sell the tickets until you establish a fan base or you get other players coming into the fold. But I don't, and I know why they had to invite players, but I wouldn't accept an invite. Not in a million. Not that I'd get one, but if I was offered one, I'd say no. I want to qualify by right, and I know I'm playing at least to a decent level, where when I get up there, I'm not gonna play like a tool. That's how I look at those kind of things. Make them qualify, then you're going to get a relatively decent standard. But all in all, wonderful tournament. And weren't the crowd incredible? Again,
amazing.
A different demographic of people, giving them the best of order, all having a great time. I could hear a pin drop, and it was rammed out in there. Maybe, a lot of them there would have obviously been back in the day. Amazing atmosphere. Some great matches, some great matches. I know Keith Deller will be absolutely devastated, but he's the one that suffered with not being match sharp and not playing.
Right, said it himself. He went, I practiced.
It's no good.
Didn't have match practice.
You can't practice shitting yourself, mate. You just can't. It's like it's like fighters who are great in sparring, but can't fight under the lights. You can't. You've got to get out there and you've got to play competitively, and you've got to feel that there's a certain feeling you get with darts when you're under pressure, and the more you do it, the more you try and get used to it, and the more you can master it. The winners in our sport master those pressure situations brilliantly. The ones that don't either never master it and never get over the line. That's sport, though. There's snooker players, there's golfers, look at Monty in golf, Jimmy White in snooker, well, multiple players in snooker, fabulous players that made multiple finals, but that's what it's all about. And then whatever level you take it down, it's all about who handles the pressure better. And I think if the players were made to play more, because they have to attend some form of ranking tour system, I think we'll get more out of them. Certainly think, I was looking at some of John Lowe's throat looks absolute silk. It doesn't look any difference, but you could see he was literally just taken aback by it all. That's a guy, one of the most experienced players in world darts, and then even on the walk-on, he was wide-eyed. You could see him like, oh my God.
But I've forgotten what this feeling was like.
Exactly. But he looks like he can still throw. He obviously didn't play anywhere near as well as he would have wanted to, but the throw's still there, that's for sure. The throw just looked amazing.
The Bob Anderson finger.
Yeah, that was lovely. I mean, Bob a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, was playing a lot of darts.
He was playing Super League and everything like that.
And he was hitting some big averages. Yeah. But of course, there was nothing for them to play him for 2 years. And listen, if it's going to affect Taylor the way it affected him, sat on the sofa for 2 years with no competitive darts. He retired 4 years ago, but he was keeping his eye on the exhibition circuit.
Exhibitions all the time.
He was doing one a week, so he'd have a couple of hours practice building up to it. He'd practice on the night, play on the night. He could get away with it. It was just enough to keep his eye in. But doing nothing for 2 years. But I'm fascinated to see what he does and how he responds.
Viewing numbers were sensational as well. Yeah,
and hopefully one of the big three that did do the broadcast, or someone else might come in for it, because there's a market. There's an audience market for it. That was proven. because they don't need to expand it though and go into big venues, because that won't work. Keep it
those venues that work.
Yeah, theatre type venues, perfect, absolute perfect. 800, 900, maybe 1,000. But yeah, did combined figures over 1.5 million, I think I read. Fabulous. All in all, more positives than negatives, and that's all you can hope for. And yeah, I can't wait to. I can't make the next two on the tour because I'm on live league duty. I'm earning money rather than spending it, but I will be at the following three. So the event on the Friday, and then the two qualifiers for the Masters on the Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully this time I don't do 24 nights and days consecutive work, that was my preparation for the last one. So hopefully play a little bit better and a little bit more prepared, and yeah, at least try and win a game. That's my plan.
Also, looking at some announcements, PDC, the women's match play.
Love it.
I love it. We'll come on to that in a second. Are we starting to see the signs that maybe Barry hasn't got the reins as tight as what he used to? Because I always remember him saying, I will never have standalone ladies events. And is this the first signs that Eddie, because Eddie gets the women's boxing, he understands it, Matt as well, they get the demographic, is this the first signs that maybe Barry hasn't got the leash he once had? Yeah,
and I think he, having spoke to him, I think he's quite happy to let Eddie do what he wants. He's before Eddie got involved. I mean, you had to be a really hardcore fight fan to remember some of the women boxers from the 90s, right? But they what he's done with women's boxing, and Katie Taylor was the forerunner, and you've got to look at people like Lisa and Fallon, what they've done for ladies darts, and Mercury Suzuki, and of course Dita. But these opportunities weren't really around when I would say Dita was at her absolute best. Same for Trina, but they are the forerunners right now, and they're making a difference. And they, as we were just discussing, they know about numbers. They can see the numbers. We see the numbers when Fallon plays in the live.
That's for the roof.
It's insane. So we know, or they know, that there is a market for it.
Yeah.
And the width it's going to take a while. I mean, women's darts is probably 40, 50 years beyond. It wasn't that long ago. Women weren't allowed in working men's club to play darts or anything like that. It just it wasn't allowed. So they're playing catch up, but the rate in which they are catching up, and hopefully the interest it creates the dart sales over Christmas, and the younger generation, young boys, young girls buying darts or getting dartboards for Christmas on the back of what they're seeing. Hopefully it's, kids pick up sport unbelievably quickly. Well, anything. Look at that Luke Littler, what was he, 14 in 9 darts. We've seen young players who've picked up the darts for Adam Gavlas, been playing only a few years from absolute scratch. So hopefully the turnaround is quick. We get lots of interest, lots of new young girls and young women playing darts, and or established women that are going to have another go, that were good county players back in the day. And what a great opportunity, for 8 of the women to play on that wonderful Winter Gardens stage. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, listen, the Worlds are the Worlds, that stands on its own, but I just love the match play.
Do you mean the match play over anything?
Yeah, I just love the crowd. It's always had a real hardcore darts crowd. You know most of the people there, because they go every year, and they love their darts, and the women are going to have a scream.
With the extended women's series as well, it's just so good for women.
Yeah.
Right now, the only negative is the first women's series clashes with the Isle of Man.
I know.
Which some of them are going to have to make a decision, but
yep.
That starts in that sport. What do you want to do?
Couldn't be helped. Couldn't be helped.
Just, it is what it is. It happens.
There's only so many weekends.
Exactly. Yeah.
To put it in, so they had no choice, and it just went in. There's nothing malicious about it. It just was what it was.
It's just the way it works. The more and more darts we get, the calendar is going to cross over more and more, and just unfortunately happened. But yeah, no, the ladies, it's going to be an experience.
It's exciting. It's exciting. It's an opportunity that they've never had. I know England Darts push really hard for the youth game and the women's game. But listen, there's another player in the market. Great for them.
Oh, massively.
Don't be bitter about it. It's great for them. If you support women's darts, don't be salty. If you support women's darts, you support darts in general, and someone's giving someone else an opportunity to make some money and a bigger platform. What are you griping about?
Oh, massively.
You know, it's crazy. I don't. You know, if you're a fan of a sport, you know, don't begrudge people. Get on there, support it, see what they're doing, match it. That's why you see fighters making this much money nowadays, because there's plenty of people, you know, trying to get the same cut of the pie in the marketplace. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Couple of odds and sods to talk about. Mm-hmm. Nathan Aspinall's injury. Are we now concerned that Nathan's a fabulous lad, but you could see at the Worlds he was in agony. Yeah. You could see that the throw, the follow through wasn't there. He took some time off and he said, "Look, I know I need to do rest." Pulled out the Masters. I mean, he was
and he had a rest. He had a couple of weeks in Jamaica, didn't he?
Yeah,
did he go to Jamaica? Yeah. And he said he'd come back still too sore.
Pulled out the Masters and he wanted to be ready for the Pro Tour. Mm-hmm. And now he's missed back-to-back four Pro Tours.
There's no cure. The only cure is rest.
So I mean, it's a concern for him right now, isn't it?
And then the problem is, once it's healed, you can't then, you know, get on the board for 4, 5, 6 hours a day, because it'll
build up slowly.
Yeah.
And then you're defending.
Because it's effectively it's an RSI, isn't it? It's a repetitive strain injury. I had tennis elbow. I'm not sure what difference that is to what he's got, but he's got something going on in the shoulder as well.
Wrist and the wrist. He said. I
mean, tennis elbow is horrendous.
In Salzburg, he said he felt something pop. That's what he knows when he did. He knows it.
Well, that may be a good thing, because it may be something that then could be repaired.
Yeah.
Where if it's an RSI, I mean, look, that's why Gezi started to, you know, pick and choose, because I used to have the cortisone injections, but you can only keep having them for so long. All that does is dull the pain, doesn't it?
Yeah, just masks it.
It doesn't cure the problem. And it's, you know, especially at Nathan's age, geez, he's got another 15 years playing easily.
And fabulous player. It'd be heartbreaking to see. Yeah. Darts is lucky that it's not one of those sports that have career-ending injuries that often.
No, not from playing.
No.
But you know, he was playing a lot of golf and a lot of darts, and it's one of those. And yeah, I just wish him all the best. No, I'm sure it'll be funny. He's got a great team of people around him, and whatever help he needs, he will get.
Massively.
And of course, this is a situation why the PDPA is there, and I hope they're utilising the, you know, what the PDPA can offer.
Yeah, completely. MVG signs, encouraging signs.
Yeah, certainly better than 12 months ago.
Yeah. Look, we saw some great stuff on the Pro Tour, and it really is now a pure confidence thing, isn't it?
I just think it's where the game is thing. I don't necessarily believe that if he won one, he would go on to win 10 on the spin, because he's not the only one now that can do what he did. You know, look at the averages on the Pro Tour, just from today.
Insane.
It's just, he lost today with 106 average. You know, he was 4-1 up against Johnny Clayton in the semi-finals last night.
And Clayton went berserk.
And Clayton's gone berserk. He's missed the bullseye twice, I think, for 2 of the legs he needed to win the match.
Yeah.
You know, and Joe Cullen's done something similar to Gezi Bryce. It's just where the game is right now, and if you know, I'm a great believer if your name's on pots. You know, if he was meant to have won it last night, those bullseyes go in. And he's right on the money. And again, he just has to click for him, and he gets a little bit of luck. Looks a little bit vulnerable, a little bit ragged, but listen, he is human, and he's had so many disappointments over the last year or so. He wouldn't be human if that's not affecting him, and he's just got to watch. He doesn't want to win too bad, because that's just going to be his downfall.
Pushing and pulling all over the place.
And we see that from him. We see him miss doubles by a long way.
because he's overtrying.
Yeah.
Like, this has to go
He's
in.
forcing everything. When it gets right down to the nitty gritty, he really starts to force. And there's still that break in the wrist at the top of the backswing. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be addressed because it is just night and day. You know, you had point up, now you've got point down.
The one number one, as we stand, Peter Wright will be world number one at some point this year. It's just a case of when, because of the money that's been defended, X, Y, and Z. Looks slightly undercooked at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. He's got lots of outside interests. He's still, you know, super competitive. God, it's just the way he's made. That's the way he's built. Is there an element of been there and done it now, mate? Been world number one, been world champion. He looks pretty cool with things. There's not quite that amount of aggression there at the moment. And maybe he's just having a little bit of he's under, you know, I think he's pretty much accepted that he's going to lose his number one spot. But listen, he's been there, mate. He's done it. It's job done.
One ticked off.
It's job done. Doesn't matter now. Now it's. I think you did an interview with him recently. You said, is it now about picking off them tournaments that he's not won? Listen, he won 3 Grand Slams in 4 years?
Yeah.
And that's got to be one of the hardest events to win. You know what I mean? Because of the short format early, the amount of games you have to win, the length of matches, playing those 2 long matches on one day. Yeah, it's all about now just ticking the boxes for him. I think he's in a great position financially. He's got lots of interests away from darts. I think he's still more than capable when he wants of turning it on. But maybe the application is not quite there as it was maybe a year ago. Only he knows that. But what a player! What a player! You know, to do what he's achieved coming from another sport still makes me sort of shake my head in absolute envy.
Yeah. Obviously, COVID is now on the way out, that it's still there. We're not there yet, but it's very much behind us as it stands. We spoke very much about player welfare over the last 18 months. We now see...
Well, the government should be more about human welfare, because wait for the next thing to come out about people's immune system.
Well, this is towards the mental health of the players, that a lot of them openly spoke up that being cooped up the way that we understand why that was the only way they could get the tournaments on and things like that.
Yeah, being put in bubbles.
So it was credit that they got on, but are we now seeing the better of them, the fact they can rock up to these tournaments, and you can see it in their faces now, they're smiling and everything like that again.
Yeah, it must have been horrendous. It was horrendous. You know, my life didn't particularly change too much. You know, I pretty much carried on as normal. I was out on my bike a lot. All right, the gyms were shut, but then we managed to get around that with an outdoor gym, and I'm not really one for going to the pub all the time anyway, so that didn't bother me. And I decorated the flat and took the dartboard down. That never went up for 2 years. But for them, and then when we did we were doing tournaments from studios, of course, but being locked in your room for sometimes nearly 24 hours waiting for tests to be done, and you can't leave, and you go to your board, or then you have to go back to your room.
That's right. Yeah, look, it was credit the tournaments were on. They did a fabulous job.
Oh, unbelievable!
But you could see
horrendous for the players.
They weren't themselves.
Yeah, no, and you know, we don't know what the long-term effect of that will be. We don't know what the long-term effect will be having a jab that you didn't need, but that will all come out. Be a bit of compensation going around, I'm sure. It'll be, you know, like we get these things, did you sign this, or did you sign up to this 3 years ago, or whatever. What's the crack now with HIV tests? It's a mad world we live in, but of course, I was a conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean? That's another video. Yeah, I was a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist when I said, "Oh, the numbers just don't add up. They don't work out." No, you don't have to be a scientist. You just have to be good at maths. Unfortunately, in this sport, we're all pretty good at math. And now they release the numbers, and everyone's going. They're all silent. They're all silent. No more Dr. Mason. But again, you can't seem to. You can't. It was just weird how people just believed all we were told, and behind our back that was going on, and people in sport, and especially in darts, suffered massively, as well as people. You know, the next fallout from it. God help us that we never have to go through that again anywhere in the world. It's just, and well, it's still going on in other parts of the world, bizarrely, even though everything's there for us to see. But yeah, the effect on the players must have, well, the thing is, the last event we did, we still weren't allowed to mix with the players, of course, at the Worlds. We were told off for touching fingers. Yeah, we were in separate bubbles. When they came into interviews in our TalkSport area, we were had to leave. Yeah. So I haven't seen or spoke to any of the players yet to see how they're, how they cope with it all, and how do they feel that there's been some kind of, effect on them. It's a worrying time.
Some interesting changes as well in darts. Obviously, RTL now gone to Viaplay, which is a similar system to DAZN, the streaming. DAZN signed a brand new deal in Germany and North America. We're seeing a real shift in the way darts is consumed now as well. Yeah,
and of course, Matchroom now have their own production company, which makes things really interesting because Eddie likes his shoulder content because it drives numbers to the main programme, and it'd be lovely if we had something similar to that on the darts, wouldn't it, where we have something a bit more interactive and we get to know, we can create characters if we get to know the players better. And I think if it weren't for your media guys, we wouldn't really get...
I'm a pest.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't get to, it's nice to get to know the people you support and a bit of a backstory, and the working class, 99.9% of dart players, they've all got a fascinating backstory of how they got involved and everything else. I think the programmes that ITV did on Gezi Price was absolutely brilliant. They did a wonderful job. My mate Reardon produced that, and Martin Reardon, he did a great job on it. And I actually did speak to Gezi about that.
He loved it. I've spoken about it. He loved every single bit.
Yeah, it put a bit of spin on what we think of him. Listen, he's never going to be everybody's cup of tea, but neither is everybody else. Some people like me, some people loathe me. It is what it is. Fortunately, it doesn't really impact on my life. But for him up there trying to do his job, if someone was screaming at me while I was trying to talk to Jackie or something else like that, I wouldn't be able to do my job. So I don't quite know how he does it. So even more credit to him.
Yeah, it's great that all these different territories are taking mainstream darts as well. And look, we all said, where's the ceiling? At the moment, there's no sign of it.
No. And you would think darts on DAZN will eventually be, because the way we watch TV now is totally different. Totally different. It's everything's on demand. I watch pretty much everything when I want to watch it or when I can get it in. If I'm travelling, laptop on, I'm on a train, wallop, I can watch it. And that is where we'll see no doubt all sports go, never mind darts. But darts, I presume, the end goal, although it's on DAZN all over the world, will end up in the UK, and it will just be part of their overall subscription service and on demand. And people, it's funny, people go, oh, it's a lot of mess. No, it's not a lot of messing about. If you've got interactive TV, it's just you just press a button. It's there for you to watch. And I like the way they do their boxing. I love the shoulder content. I love all the previews they do. I'd love to see. I mean, we do it at the Worlds, of course, don't we? Dan Dawson does it. He does a preview program, which is great fun and again interesting. And you can get the players involved. Yeah. You can get the players involved with the audience there. Nico was there, me was there, Webby was up there.
Oh, Webby and Nico doing work out check.
Yeah, it was genius. But that's the kind of thing that will drive more traffic, and it's great to get the audience involved. It was, although it was a bit bizarre, the boxing thing they did at the Garden at Maskell's, at their old house, at the offices. I mean, what a great experience for people to. Yeah, it was genius in the end. But that's what great businessmen do. They find a way to work things out, and it's a really exciting future. I'm excited because it's sort of happening around me. It's not something. It's something that I've sort of grown with and watched evolve, and I'm fascinated to see where it ends up.
I'd love a tournament in Barry's garden. Could you imagine?
You could do it in his house. It's big enough, mate.
But the whole fight camp thing that was just brilliant. I love pie in the sky, like a festival of darts weekend or something where you've got almost like the old UK. I mean, I know commercial deals and buttons make sense. I get that. But last year, having the UK Open, although it was behind closed doors, which wasn't great, having it all in one room again, there was just something about.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do those kind of things in Germany, don't they? They have them big Festival of Darts events, and of course the Dutch Open's absolutely incredible and well worth a visit, even if you don't play. But listen, the way Eddie and Matt go about things, anything is possible. Literally anything is possible, and they're creative, they're reactive, they're proactive, and if there's a market for it, if it makes money, it makes sense.
Well, they love a pound note. Also, as well, again, I forgot to say it earlier, bit of a groundbreaking moment. I know they didn't have to, but they did. The fact they were allowing the tour card holders that won tour cards to play in the rearranged lakeside is quite a big moment for the sport, I think, because although it makes sense, I'm not sure in the past it would have happened.
No, but extraordinary circumstances. It would have been cancelled. It would have been unfair to not let them play. They qualified by right. If it had happened on its normal day, it wouldn't have mattered. And yeah, all credit to both organisations that must have sat down, and I don't quite know what went on behind the scenes, but yeah, listen, for some of those players, they spent a lot of money and a lot of time trying to qualify. So yeah, exciting. I would like to think it's a bit like the live league. I wish they would let us have players ranked 65 to 128. I understand they're protecting their product, which is the elite end of the sport, but how are these players going to grow and progress without getting to play under the lights all the time? Where we give them an opportunity here, we fall under the auspices of the DRA. And I just think it'd be a nice opportunity. And if people doubt the effect, 12 of the 17 people in the UK alone were Live League regulars who qualified, got their tour cards this year. So it shows you the impact it has. And of course, multiple players in the European Q School also were Live League.
Yeah. Robert Thorne, Martin Adams in the seniors final.
Yeah, so it has an impact, and it gives them a great opportunity to hone their skills. I totally understand them protecting Gary Anderson and Gezi Price and Michael Van Gerwen and Michael Smith, but we don't, they're all making a very nice living. But how are the rest of them going to catch up? And they earn money, and it's a great platform. It's great for their sponsors to get some, some airtime on a free-to-air channel, and I hope it's something that they look at going forward, and it just mixes it up a bit. It's a great learning curve down here, great learning curve, and we've got, we can back it up with data, with numbers, which we know we like to do.
Looking at the rest of 2022, what are you looking forward to the most? What are you excited about?
I'm fascinated to see how the women's series plays out, and the 8 that qualify for the match play. World Cup's always one that I enjoy to watch, because again you get to see names you wouldn't normally see under the lights, and I wish they'd make it pairs all the way through, because then it'd be way more exciting. It becomes, as soon as the singles element comes in, can become a little predictable, but I enjoy it either way. But it would be better if it was pairs all the way through. It's a team event, isn't it? So you don't play as a team in singles. Just my 2 cents. The event I'm most looking forward to this year, getting back to the match play, full crowd, no COVID nonsense, and then watching the women as well. Literally watching them get on that stage and look around. And,
I can't wait for that afternoon. I'm going to sit up on the balcony and enjoy every single minute of it.
Yeah, I've got the afternoon off, so we might do it on the radio. I'm not sure. Of course, that's only just come out, so I don't know what the plans are. But really looking forward to the match play. And just excited to see the sport continue to evolve and players grow. I'd love to see Michael Smith win one this year, of course. And interesting to see what happens with the seniors and a certain Mr. Taylor, to see whether he's still got that drive and that enthusiasm to because every time, I mean, obviously he never played like that ever, but if he did have a rare bad run, he would go away and come back a different animal. So it'd be interesting to see what it does, and interesting to see where the seniors goes and how that evolves as well. It's just such a great time for darts. Gutted I didn't go to the tavern, but again, I was at work, so I could have gone up on the Sunday, but then it would have been a nightmare getting back. Yeah, so I mean, 2022 is looking amazing, mate.
Dart's never been in a better place, has it?
No, it's. Listen, I'd love to be involved, but I am. I'd love to have been involved as a player when it was like this. But the next best thing, as you know, is we're involved on this side of the hockey, and it's equally as enjoyable. I get a lot of pleasure in watching people change their lives. It's amazing.
Mate, it's absolute pleasure taking time. We've been going for nearly an hour, mate. Absolute spot on, mate. Thank you very much as always.